Today's episode is brought to you by Viralcast, the first and only completely done-for-you podcast production service. Build new relationships, create a deeper connection with your database, and get exposure to new audiences. Here's how it works. You interview influencers in your market. You start building that new relationship. Then you take that valuable content and share it with your database. Your guest then shares the content with their list. Everybody wins. You get new relationships, you create a deeper connection with your list, and get exposure to new people that you would never have access to. And look, if you're currently mining your database with video, stop. Audio is the new reality. We are living in an influence economy. Exposure is the new social capital. Go to Viralcast with a K to learn more. And right now, for the first 25 subscribers, we're offering a 50% off the getting started price. Welcome to Super Agents Live. This is the one place where you can come and hear the most successful people in real estate. You'll hear how these super agents built their businesses, how they stay productive, and how they stay motivated. Who am I? My name's Toby Salgado, and I made my first million in real estate. And I'm your host for the next 30 minutes while we talk to yet another amazing real estate entrepreneur. Stay tuned.
Let's go! Yeah!
Hey everybody, what's up? How's it going? How's your day? How's your week shaping up? I hope it's going well. Geez, we missed our last episode 248 or something. I was out. I take my kids every year. I take one of my kids. We go do a trip, just me and them. Last week I did a weekend trip. I took my 11-year-old son Hudson, and we cruised to LA. Did the whole LA thing. Beverly Hills, Rodeo Drive, Hollywood Walk of Fame. Rented some bikes, rode up and down Venice Beach. Pretty cool, pretty fun. And this Friday, flying out to Omaha, Nebraska, and I'm going to Warren Buffett. I'm going to see Warren Buffett at the Berkshire annual meeting. So if you're in Omaha, the April 29th through May 2nd, hit me up and let's meet up. I don't know if there's a ton of stuff to do in Omaha. Anyhow. All right. Hey, look, today's episode, I got to tell you, I did this one a long time ago, and I'm hatching a new plan, a little bit of a new plan in terms of a little bit of a twist for the show. I want to speak to as many people as I can, and I'm thinking about demographics here. And it's something that I see Tom Ferry doing recently, and I don't know if he saw us, what we're doing, or not. And Tom actually just reached out recently. He's like, "Oh, hey, let's get back on the show." So I don't know what's going on with that, but just be on the lookout. Now, here's what's up today. What we talk about. One of my most favorite topics is outsourcing, right? This is Michael Gerber's E-Myth Revisited. We all need to play to our strengths and outsource our weaknesses. So we talk about outsourcing. We talk about why to build a team, how to build a team. Some of the things, if you are going to build a team, what you need to build first, some of those systems and processes. We talk about, right? That famous Jim Rohn quote, right? You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. We talk about why it's so critical to level up and surround yourself with successful people. And then we talk a little bit about driving leads, about internet marketing, another favorite topic of mine. All right. Hey, listen, join the community on Facebook. You can, you can certainly friend me on Facebook, but you can join the conversation on Twitter at Super Agents Live is my handle. Hashtag for the show is Unpack That Idea. If you haven't been to the site, it's so weird. I got to tell you, this show is growing like crazy. It's growing like a weed. However, I don't know if it's because the world is going mobile or not, but our mobile downloads have doubled while our website traffic has been cut in half. Super weird. I'm not sure what's going on with that. But if you haven't been to the site, go to superagentslive.com, download my book, get on my list. I share stuff on my list. I don't share anywhere else. And that's that. Lastly, look, if you want to level up, you know what it is? It's radio. And I got to tell you, man, we've been putting people on radio. They've been killing it, and it's getting noisy. And I have to think, and this may be just me being narcissistic, but I think we're driving so much awareness that radio works. People are just jumping on it on their own. I was actually talking with a girl, not going to say what city, and some people referred me to her, and we talked. And I just kind of stopped talking. Like we didn't connect for a week or two. And then I put another agent in that market and realized that the girl that I had talked to bought radio herself. And I'm like, oh my God. And I got to tell you, you just don't do that. If you don't speak radio, do not try buying radio. And by the way, it costs you nothing to work with an agency like Real Estate Radio Experts. We make our money. We make a commission off of the spend. So you get professional level expertise for no cash. How's that for a value proposition? All right. Hey, that's it. It's enough from me. Let's get to it. On the show, pretty excited. Now, today's guest, her back office is going to look a lot like your guys's. However, and look, I'll tell you what it's like. There's 3 people. It's her, and she has 2 buyer's agents. She has 1 admin. Now here's where the story differs. With that small team, last year, 2014, she did 144 deals. With that 144 deals, she's in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And for that 144, let's put her in the top 5 teams for RE/MAX and number 1 in the state of Louisiana for sides per team member, something like that. She'll tell us in a second. I'm thrilled to welcome Beth Alford. Hey, Beth, thanks. My tongue got caught. Beth, thanks for taking the time out today.
Oh, no, great. My pleasure. I'm looking forward to it.
So listen, Beth, before we I want to know how you guys are so, you have such a lean team, but you guys are putting out big numbers. And we were chatting a little bit before this. It doesn't sound like you're working that 90 hours a week that most agents seem to find themselves in. Before we get there, though, take a minute. Tell us a little bit about who Beth is.
Well, actually, I'm not a Louisiana native. I did move here back in probably back in the early 1980s. Started a family, and real estate was really not one of those things that was on my radar to want to do. It just kind of happened. My husband at the time, we've been married 27 years. We started building homes, and I had a realtor at the time. And I just kind of mentioned off the cuff that I thought it would be interesting to get into. And she was one of the top realtors in the local area. And she picked up the phone and called me one day. And I said, sounds great. Got involved in it. And been doing it now going on 18 years. So I've developed a team over the years. Probably in the last 10 years, we've had a team, and it's just worked really, really well because there's some parts of this business that I really enjoy doing, and there's some parts of it that, I feel is great to hand over to somebody else that's their forte as well. And it's worked really well for us.
Yeah, well, look, why did it take you so long to build a team? And here's the deal. Here's why I'm asking that question is because, what we hear about on the show all the time, and what I obviously would tell people is, figure out what you want to make per hour, right? $50, $100, $800. Outsource everything else. Working with a buyer, and as you know, Beth, right? You can literally work with 7 sellers for every 1 buyer. Why did it take you 8 years before you started to build a team?
Well, of course, you're learning. You're learning from other realtors who have been in the business for a while, and you're just developing your clientele. When you get into real estate, of course, you don't always it just drops in your plate, that you have all these clients. It just takes time. And we were just, it just worked out really well for us how we developed our processes that we've learned from other people and stayed in contact with past clients, and it just kept working. And as you work with your clients and you treat your clients well, they always come back and hopefully send clients back to you. And then as your business increases, you recognize that you can't do it all. So at that point, you tend to want to bring people in on your team to help assist. And and give them something so that they can benefit from it as well as yourself. So,
and I think the other thing too, just hearing you say that, Beth, I think one of the things is, you're doing a very respectable number, 144 deals. Most people that we have on the show are doing 3, 5, 6, 7. But even with that, and I don't take any offense to this, Beth, but even with that relatively low number of total transactions, I mean, you're number one in the state. So I think for people out there, I think if you're not around super successful people, you may not learn, to build a team right out of the gate.
Oh, absolutely. And it just takes time. It takes time to learn how to develop those systems too, so it works for all of you, But again, it's through watching and learning, because when I first started out in real estate, I was on a team as well. So, and the team that I was on, she was the number one realtor in the state for the longest time, which she's no longer here, but she was. But there's several other realtors in our area that do really, really well. In terms of transactions on teams, we just happen, because our team is so small, it's put us in first place, but with the amount of transactions that we've done. I have a great team that work with.
Yeah. Now listen, before we started recording, what you told me, we were talking about you and you knowing about this show, and you said, well, I'm pretty busy during the day, and I work from 8 to 5. When I get home, I'm just wiped out, and I don't have time to listen to shows like this. So, but look, there's a couple things, Beth, that I want to point out. Is number one, you're only working 8 to 5, right? So. Now, how do you pull that off? Do you train your clients early on? Say, listen, unless something's burning, don't call me after 5:30, or like, how did you pull that off?
Well, it hasn't always been easy. But I haven't been the best management of time, I can tell you. But I will say that if working the 9 to 5 job every day sometimes can be, turned into the weekend and picking up hours by working away from the office. But certainly the teams that are here, if I have to be out the area, they're always very cooperative and wanting to help and assist and picking up, whatever needs to be done when I'm not away, especially the administrative side of things too. So long time ago when I first got into it, not knowing how to manage my time very well, it was whenever the phone rang, you just answer it instead of being able to hand that off to somebody else to take care of it. And then working on the weekends. Well, it's been very beneficial to be able to have the weekends off, So it doesn't mean that you don't work sometimes on the weekends. Yeah, you have to. When something's coming in, you take it, But there's a lot of flexibility in this as long as you can begin to learn how to manage your time in a way that you can have some quality time away from this job.
Right. Absolutely. I think if you don't, that's when people burn out, and you're never going to have a career like yours that has spanned almost 2 decades now. So you and your team are very lean, right? You have 1 admin, 2 buyer's agents, and yourself, but you're putting up good numbers. You're doing a deal, one deal you're closing a deal every 3 days. What have you done to, I guess I want to ask about leads, and I was trying to do it not in a specific way, but how are you driving that kind of traffic?
Well, everything's so internet driven today. Paper marketing is just yesterday's news. So a lot of the ways that we tend to drive people toward us is through our internet marketing, and of course there's so many companies that are out there that want your business. So you just have to pick those that have the most, statistically, the most hits on their site, which will ultimately drive them to you. And of course, working with relocation companies, working with Dave Ramsey as an ELP for him, we get leads that way. There's several different avenues in which we receive leads through the internet other than our past clients, our referrals. So all that works out. And I guess after being in it almost like 2 decades, like you said, you hope that some of your past clients will refer people to you and bring their friends too. So that's very helpful.
Yeah. So you said you talked now. Hold on. Before I ask this question, in terms of that 144 deals, what is the breakup between listings and buyers?
That's a good question. I am pretty much the one that kind of manages the listing side, and the buyer agents work with the buyers. So on the listing side, I'd say it might be probably about 40% or 50%. It's pretty basic.
Wow.
We usually keep those statistics, at the year's end through our top producer program, and we usually try to find out exactly where most of our leads come from. That way, we make sure we know where our marketing money is going. Is this lead coming from a referral? Is this lead coming from Zillow? Is this lead coming from Trulia or Realtor.com or Remax.com? So we try to keep a handle on that. But of course, without the listings, you don't drive the buyers. So it's my goal to have as many of those as possible. But having 2 buyer agents, I hope they're just twice as busy as I am. But I would say that on the buying side takes in more than the selling side.
Yeah, of course. So let me ask you this one. So you've been at this for a long time. If I did some quick math, so let's say 18 years, let's multiply it by just an average of 60 deals, right? So that's over 1,000 past clients. What? So you should be. 1,000 past clients. That could be your whole business alone.
It could be.
So what are you doing to kind of, because I want to marry these two things. You talked about internet marketing, and now what are you doing to stay top of mind and encourage those 1,000 or 1,100 past clients to say, hey, go work with Beth?
Yeah, that's a good question, too, because sometimes when I'm at a listing appointment, that's one of the first questions I ask them is, if you had to remember someone, who was in real estate, would you be able to remember that person's name? So it's really staying out in front of your clientele through your marketing, through top producers, mainly how we do that. And we do try to stay in front of them through Facebook or other avenues. There's so many different ways that you can reach your past clientele, but top producer has been one of the best ways that we can keep them in our system and reach out to them on a monthly basis to kind of let them know that, hey, we're still here.
Right.
Whether it's through sending them something relative to a birthday or what's going on that month, or just telling them something about what's going on in the area, just to kind of keep them abreast to some of the local activities that are going on. You just want to be in front of them, and you want them to know that you're here, not just as a realtor, but as a resource, that they can call anytime and ask questions about anything that might be going on in the market. We do like to make ourselves very accessible to them instead of it just being, all about the sales. It's not about that. It's about building the relationship.
Yeah, you got to add value.
Oh, you do. Mm-hmm.
So in terms of being a resource, I have some ideas and I won't tell you them right now. But like in terms of being a resource, like how what does that look like for you? To be a resource to these people?
Well, it means a lot that if someone has something that if you walk them through the process, let's just say a first-time home buyer.
Yeah.
You're a resource from the get-go for them because they don't have any knowledge probably whatsoever about the buying process or the selling process. So you want to be an educator for them, and you want to be able to provide them with the resources that they need. And when you help someone out in that way, and that's one of the great things when we have somebody call us and say, I've been referred to you, and then I look back at who referred because they said that you were so good at explaining things and helping them through the process, and just making sure that they felt like we were on top of everything that pertains to the listing their home to the closing, or buying process to the closing. And it's just making them feel like somebody was on top of it instead of them having to be on top of it for you.
Right.
You don't want the client to pick up the phone and call you and say, when is the closing? Or when am I having my inspection? Or when is this happening? You want to be the one to pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, this is the date that this will be happening, and whatever else is going on with the file, just keeping them abreast to every aspect of it so that they feel like they're the only client that you're working with and that they feel like you're on top of it.
Right. And I think the other thing too, in terms of being a resource is saying, hey, listen, here's my list of trusted vendors, or hey, for the month of,
sure.
For the month of June, I got my pool guy to give you guys a 10% discount, or if you sign up or whatever.
Right. I understand what you're saying. Absolutely. We have, basically because of the property management division we have here too, we have a ton of resources that we can give out to people in terms of, if they ever need anything. Because a lot of times we have investors that we work with too, and they need someone to install a fence, or they need gutters or whatever. I mean, we have a list of those names accessible to us, available to anyone. But certainly, being a resource for someone when you're listing a property, which is the one thing that I really enjoy doing, is the listing side of things. So when you're meeting with them and helping them get their home prepared for that first day on the market, it's all about making sure that it's in the best condition that it can be in, whether it still needs some updating or not, and provide them with everything that they need to get it to where it needs to be. Work within a budget that they have and try to help them with that, and certainly we try to do that.
Now, in terms of being a resource or just staying top of mind, other than, I know you when you are saying top producer, what you're really saying is, hey, we're sorry, I just got a text and it threw me off.
That's okay. Top Producer is an internet-driven program that we have.
Yeah.
That it actually connects with our local MLS system. So every potential contact or lead that we get, we put them into that system, and we have a very good internet-driven program where we are able to reach out to them on a consistent basis. And, of course, you don't know what kind of resources that you can provide for them unless you actually are communicating with them and you're speaking with them about exactly what their needs are. And you just want to be able to have those resources available to them when you do find out what those needs are. So Top Producer just gives us the ability to put them in a database that works with us best.
And I really, I want to ask two questions here, but what I was getting at earlier was I was going to ask you, do you, in addition to just sending out an email through Top Producer, do you, do you implement video with anything? And then here's a question in tandem. Here's one of the things that I've heard. Well, why don't you answer that, and I'll ask a follow-up question.
Actually, we haven't yet. It's something I really would like to start working on, I guess. One of the things, I guess, has held me back is basically, I guess, we're busy enough to where I haven't had to go in that direction, but it's not like it's not something we wouldn't want to implement, at some point. I think a lot of people would really like a personal touch to have that. I mean, it's interesting how technology has just bombarded us with so many different ways to be able to relate to people. So certainly something different on the market that not everyone's using is always something best to kind of tie into and set yourself apart and be a little different. Because somebody else is going to do it, Is that going to make someone want to buy or sell better than if you're not? I think it ultimately boils back down somewhat to some very basic concepts. And that is, if you take care of your client, whether they see you in a different light or whatever, and you give them the things that they need and meet their needs where they are, because everyone wants something so quickly now, that if you're able to meet their needs in that perspective, I think you win them over.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, I think it ties in, like, when you think of video, at least for me, I think what happens is, like you just said it, you said everybody's attention span, everybody wants it faster. So I think people's attention spans are smaller. So if you can reduce the friction in our communication, I'm going to obviously like that better, right? I open it up, I play a video.
Right, absolutely. So, absolutely, and it's time sensitive too. I mean, nobody wants to sit and read something that's 5-10 minutes long. It needs to be short and sweet, and just something that's going to grab your attention and get you quickly because you're moving on to the next thing. Because sometimes your brain is thinking, "What's next?" Right?
Right.
Unless you're just really in tune with what you are looking at, because you have something you've got to really work on, but. But it's true. I mean, you have a very limited amount of time that you have today. I have found with clients on being able to get their attention, being able to grab them and acquire them as a potential client. If we're talking about new clients, someone that you haven't spoken to before or being referred to you in any way.
Now, one of the criticisms that I hear about Top Producer in particular is the templates for their emails seems like they were done in the 80s. Has that been an issue for you guys, or what do you guys do something kind of create your own? Or
I think you have to create your own.
Okay.
Be a little personal with it, because I think people know. I get emails all the time. We all get emails all the time, and a lot of times you can tell that they're just templates. And I think if you kind of switch it up and change it, it really doesn't take a whole lot to do that. If you're just working with a buyer template, for instance, and you just change it up to be very relative to where it is today, and or if you already have a client in the queue where they're in the closing process, there's some pretty basic stuff that you want to be able to send them to kind of let them know what to expect within the next 30, 45 days. And it might be someone that's already really experienced and they're aware of that. But I think the point behind that is that, hey, they remember to send me something. Hey, I got something from them. They're on top of it, and they're providing me with information that I need, whether I know it or not, So I feel like somebody's really paying attention to my process in closing.
Now, here's a question. I don't let it stump you, but
Okay.
And it's not a trick question, but I mean it's this. You might have to put this play. What do you know now, Beth, that you wish you would have known 18 years ago when you started?
I don't think I'd change a thing. I mean, it's almost like saying, I wish I could be 20 again with the knowledge I have today. Well, of course, who wouldn't?
Right.
But it's kind of like that's what life is all about, right? It's about learning and growing and experiencing things and gaining knowledge. And, you're going to make mistakes. And I think you learn from those mistakes and you change your systems. I think if we all popped into this world with all the knowledge that we ever needed, it would be pretty boring. So it's one of those things where, I've enjoyed the journey. It's been hard sometimes, and I think if there was anything I could have changed differently, it would be me personally on my time management when I first started. I think if I could give any advice to anyone who's starting out in real estate is really try to manage your time and educate yourself on the process. That was one thing that I lacked. I didn't get a lot of education from my peers in the very beginning, so I just listened and I learned, and I wasn't taught. And so I wanted more because I love to work, and but of course after 18 years it does kind of wear on you. But I think that would probably be the only thing, is just really trying to learn how to speak to buyers and sellers in the beginning, where it was just a real learning process for me. But I don't regret anything. It's been a great journey.
Well, I mean, let's talk about time management for a second. I mean, how do you? And look, again, you have this 3-person team, and you guys are putting up wonderful numbers. What is there some kind of secret sauce that you have developed or figured out in terms of managing your time and to be super effective between that 8 and 5 p.m.?
Well, it's just choices. I've learned to just, make better choices with my time and just say, well, because if I have like 5 files in front of me, you can walk in each day and realize that it's still going to be here. If you leave at 5 o'clock or you leave at 4 o'clock, is it going to make a difference if you come tomorrow? No. It's just my personality is like, I know there's something that needs to be done, so let me do it now. And so that could run into those wee hours in the evening where it just really pushes your time and takes away quality time. Mm-hmm. So I've just learned to really try to, make myself say, enough, it's time to put it down, and it will be here tomorrow, Nothing's going to change between now and then. And I think when you realize that if you choose to stay and work longer, those are just, at this point in my life, those are just choices that I'm making because I can,
Right.
But other than that, the team that I work with are very, very good. If they're away, I'm here. I'm away, they're here. They know the files, they know the process, and they help. We all work together in making sure it happens for all of us, because ultimately it's the team concept that we're trying to have here. It's not just about the business, it's about working together, making it all happen for each other.
Yeah, no, that's great, and I'm sure you guys have a wonderful culture there. But hold on, see, Beth, throughout this interview, you like just now, you talked about the files, right? And earlier you were talking about the transaction. What's different from when I ask some of these types of questions to other people and they come on the show, they focus on the prospecting side of it. Is your business just let me ask you that specific question. How much time in a day or in a week do you and or your team spend on actual prospecting?
Well, that's a good question. I'm hoping that the buyer agents are prospecting daily, through leads that come to them, of course, and I know they are. For me on the selling side, certainly when leads come in, I guess when you say prospecting, I stay from this side on the listing side fairly busy that I don't have to pick up the phone and do cold calls.
Got it.
Would I be afraid to do that at this point? No. I could pick up the phone today and go through FSBOs and introduce myself just like I did 18 years ago. But we're lucky enough that we haven't had to do that recently. So I have enough business that are coming in that keeps me busy enough to keep that 8 to 5 thing going.
Wow.
Instead of, if I wanted to go from 8 to 8, sure I could, but then it gets to the point where when is enough?
Yeah.
So you got to have some quality of life.
Yeah, no, and good for you. I mean, that is fantastic. If you built this business that you've built this thing where you just come in and you're like, okay, I just have there's another deal, I got to list it and just do the work. I think
that's right.
People, that is an enviable position. It only took you 18 years, but you're there, and maybe you did that 10. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's a blessing. It really
absolutely,
is.
Yeah.
And I contribute that to how we've all ran this business in the past, because those calls are not going to come in unless, you're relying upon those referrals, or you're relying upon your marketing, or you're relying upon, some lead generation format that you have set up. So we hope that everything that we have implemented works enough so that it keeps it running on a consistent basis without having to pick up the phone and going, where's my next lead going to come from, so.
Okay. Well, good for you. Okay. So we're gonna wrap up here. I'm gonna ask you the same 3 questions I ask of everybody. Because we're at 32 minutes, so we're a little bit over. But for you and you're both either professionally or personally, Beth, who's been a mentor to you?
Oh wow, that's a good question. A mentor to me. Well, I'd like to contribute a part of that to the team members that actually work with me. I do have, I think because, to lead, you have to somehow make it in a way that those that you serve with, that team is on one level, and that you all work together, and it benefits everyone in the process. But I've had some wonderful team members that work with me. One of them, mainly Linda Reeves, has been with me for several years, and she's just been, great to work with, and she inspires me. I hope I inspire her. And when you have someone that you can work with so well throughout the years, and she's been with me several years, to me, that influences me to do better. And I hope it influences her to do better. I've had a good broker that I've worked with in the past, Winona Squires, but ultimately just watching others, and but mainly those that you work with closely. And I would have to say that is my team members.
That's awesome, and I think what I thought you were going to say when you started talking about leadership, I thought and you kind of explained this. You kind of said, I think some of the notion was to be a good leader, you also have to be able to follow, and
that's exactly right. You have to.
That's right, and so and I think you expressed that pretty well. So listen, we always ask for a book recommendation. Now I know you're busy, so you may not have time to read, but here's a setup, and hopefully you've read something.
Okay.
I'm an aspiring agent. I have $25. What book should I go buy today?
That's great. Oh my gosh. Let's see. I know John Maxwell has a great book out. I haven't read it yet, but it's in my. I read his quotes on leadership every day. So I get an email from him every day, in referencing leadership, and it's all about servanthood too. It really is, and. But he has a book out on leadership, and I'm sorry I can't.
He's got a ton.
What the actual?
No, that's okay. He's got. I'll read
but
some.
He's a great author.
Yeah.
John Maxwell's a great author, and he's a great leader. So, I like him because he teaches you not only to lead but to follow, and he sets that example. I mean, you have to, and when you can do that and set people up above you instead of yourself setting above others. It just makes for, a great outcome.
Yeah. No, I agree. And Maxwell is all about leadership. He's got 5 levels of leadership. He's got qualities of a leader, the 360-degree leader, the laws of leadership, developing leader within you. His latest book was 15 invaluable laws of growth. Now, for my audience, for everybody out there, you guys, if you have not read a John Maxwell book, you should. Get any one of those. They're all great books. He's a great writer, and get a book free from us. Just use our link, audibletrial.com/superagentslive, and go get a John Maxwell book. Now, to wrap up here, here's the last question I ask everybody, and for you, Beth. Do you've been at this for almost 20 years. You've built this fantastic business where you just really have to suit up and show up, and it works. Do you have a personal habit that you feel has contributed to your success?
Yeah, I just think making sure that when you come to work prepared. You come to work with your clients in mind. Making sure that you make them feel like that you're taking care of everything that needs to be taken care of for them. I say habit, just being on top of the game, not being slackish about what you do. If you do, then I think your success rate could potentially, it could fall. But I think when you set a standard and you live by the standard of making sure that you want to run your business to the best that you can, I think it's a win-win thing.
I love it. Well, listen, Beth, I always encourage my audience, if they've gotten anything out of this episode, to reach out and say thank you to you, my guest. Where can people find you, Beth?
They can go to my website, bethalford.com. It's real easy.
Great. And if all you guys out there, if you're driving your car, walking your dog, riding your bike, all this stuff will be on the show notes for Beth Alford at Super Agents Live. Hey, Beth, I'll be the first one to kick off the thank you train. Thank you. I appreciate you taking the time out.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, let's stay in touch.
Have a good one.
See you, Beth.
Bye.
This show is produced by me, Toby Salgado, with help from our research team and production done by Viralcast. If you're building a team and want to make sure you're doing it the most efficient way, reach out to Corcoran Coaching. They coach 83 of the nation's top producing teams. And for our listeners, they'll give you a free business evaluation. Send an email to bubba@corcorancoaching.com and let them know I told you guys to call.
Let's go.